Why are so many queer women and non-binary people overweight or obese?
I can kind of visualize the type of look you are talking about, and I do know what you mean. But I also think stuff like, why are all sorority girls skinny? I mean, it's not true, but sorta.
Are there, though? If we are looking just at the states, then, and this is not meant as an insult to the country and its people, you could pick almost any group and go, hey, why is there so much obesity in that group?
Stab in the dark, but possibly there's a correlation between using food as a coping mechanism, and the emotional stress of gender dysphoria / parsing out your identity.
Obesity is the norm in nearly the entire developed world right now. The fat queer person is a meme, but the truth is that most of the people are fat, and it would be surprising if most of the queer people were not.
Because the US is fat in general. I'm a transman, the hefties are 90% of my dating pool. 10% unicorn. We just have an overall obesity problem.
Do you happen to live in America? Because it may not be an AFAB queer thing. No offense to Americans, just going by statistics.
Straight/cis people are also overweight and chubby and obese. You're only noticing it because of confirmation bias. At least 40% of Americans are obese. Trying to add a source, but Reddit doesn't like my link.
I'm going to guess that having identity struggles and constantly masking is going to lead to having poor self-control in other arenas. Food, especially if food is a comfort from stress.
As someone who spends a lot of time in queer social circles, I do not think there is a correlation at all. Colored hair and face piercings. There probably is one. They aren't more obese than cis people. It's a confirmation bias. All in your head. Also, that's really an American question. Obesity is rather rare where I live. Total guess and not scientifically proven at all. Mental problems often go hand in hand with eating disorders. Lots of LGBTQ people have been suppressed and not able to live out their personalities, thus developing mental issues such as e.g. depression. It doesn't have to be the full medical diagnosis, but just a general feeling of unhappiness, loneliness, feeling other, and comfort food. Or chocolate giving you that happy feeling and sugar rush after a particularly bad encounter per day. Some are also subcultures like the bear community. Interesting question. My initial best guess, as others have submitted here, is that this is confirmation bias at play. As many Americans are overweight, obese, there is also significant allyship, intersection between the LGBTQIA+ community and the body positivity movement as traditionally marginalized communities. So perhaps you are taking notice of particularly vocal advocates or representatives of both. I also think the loudest or most visible voices or advocates tend to be the angriest ones. And people who experience what they perceive to be injustice and marginalization from multiple angles seem to me to be most likely to be the loudest and angriest. I've experienced the contrary. Most queer people I know tend to be on the thinner side. Obesity is an issue for a great part of the population though. So no doubt that will extend into the LGBT community. I know way more straight people who are obese. As others have said, could be coping mechanisms, etc. But I also think it could be that they're not participating as much in societal norms for men and women. For example, society wants women's bodies to be a certain way, and men are expected to be the tall ones who love to gym. So when you have a lesbian or gay relationship, those standards aren't as in place. So they're more free to just be who they want. One reason is definitely metabolic, hormonal issues. 20% of the general female population suffers from PCOS, which is a hormonal and metabolic condition that is poorly studied and has horrible side effects including huge difficulties losing weight, pattern hair growth and baldness, acne, high testosterone, fatigue, etc. The queer-identifying population has a much higher percentage than the general population. I'm looking for the number but can't find it and I'm at work. So you can do the Googling cold sweat smile. It should be noted, while PCOS does cause high androgen levels in female bodies due to metabolic issues, it is not the cause of being queer-identifying. Because there is a hidden narrative that if you don't have good relationships with members of the opposite sex, that must mean you are LGBTQIA+. Rather than just accept that part of the reason that you don't have good relationships with members of the opposite sex is that you are a bit unattractive. In America, I think most of us are overweight anyways. I think people make fun of fat people, so they go, "Oh, look at this odd person who is so gross and overweight." Humans. All the overweight people I've met have suffered some kind of trauma, depression in their lifetime. And I work in healthcare, so I've met a lot of overweight people. It's depressing not feeling free to be yourself, feeling oppressed, perhaps coming to terms with the fact that you don't fit into one of society's norms. Add to that when you identify with something other than hetero, you significantly decrease your chance of dating, finding love, and that is depressing. I think that's your confirmation bias talking. Because your monk brain remembers the very overweight chick with purple hair more easily than the other 5 purple-haired chicks you crossed that day.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. TooAfraidToAsk is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.